An Introduction to the Science of Hadith by Ibn Salah al-Shahrazuri, 577 to 643, the most influential work on the science of Hadith in existence. Category 31. Rare and Scarce Hadith. Al-Gharib wal-Aziz min al-Hadith. We heard that the expert Abu Abdullah ibn Manda al-Isbahani said, there are rare hadith like those of Zuhri, Qatada and other authorities, and their hadith are collected. When a single transmitter is alone in relating a particular hadith from them, it is called rare. When 2 or 3 transmitters relate from them and they all have a single hadith, it is called scarce. When a group relates a hadith from them, it is called famous, mashhur. The hadith which one transmitter is alone in transmitting is described as rare. The same is true for the hadith which one of them is alone in transmitting with features, whether in its text or in its isnad, which others do not give. Not everything that is considered isolated, min anwa' al-afrad, is considered rare. This being the case with the isolated hadith ascribed to certain lands discussed above. Rare hadith are divided into subcategories of sound, for instance, the isolated hadith included in the sahih and unsound, and these predominate among the rare hadith. We heard that Ahmad ibn Hanbal, God be pleased with him, said more than once, do not write down these rare hadith, they are rejected, manakir, and the generality of them are from weak transmitters. The rare hadith can also be subcategorized in another way. Some are rare in regard to both the text and the isnad. This is the hadith the text of which is a single transmitter is alone in transmitting. Some are rare in regard to the isnad, but not the text. For instance, a hadith the text of which is well known and related from a group of the companions. When someone is alone in relating it from another companion, it is rare in regard to that line of transmission, although its text is not rare. Of that type are the sound texts which the great teachers have with rare isnads. This is the kind Tirmidhi calls rare in regard to this line of transmission. Gharib min hadha al-wajh. I do not think that the reverse of this type can exist. There is therefore nothing rare in respect to the text and not rare in respect to isnad, except when an isolated hadith is famous when someone who was alone in transmitting it and a large number of students then related it from him. So it becomes a famous rare hadith, gharib mashhur. Rare in respect to its texts and not rare in respect to its isnad, rather in regard to one of the 2 ends of its isnad. This is because its isnad is characterized by rarity in its beginning and by frame in its other end, like the hadith, acts are judged by intentions, and the rest of the rare hadith which the famous compositions contain, God knows best. Category 32. Rare words in the hadith. Gharib al-hadith. Rare words in the hadith consist of words that occur in the text of some hadith which are obscure and difficult to understand because they are rarely used. This is an important discipline, ignorance of which is shameful for students of hadith in particular and scholars in general. Immersion in it is no light matter, and those who would undertake it should investigate it scrupulously and proceed with care. We heard from Maymuni that Ahmad ibn Hanbal was asked about one of the rare words of the hadith. He said, ask the experts in rare words. I dislike discussing the utterances of the Prophet, peace be upon him, supposititiously, for fear that I will make a mistake. We read that Muhammad ibn Abdul Malik al-Tarihi said, Abu Kilaba Abdul Malik bin Muhammad transmitted to me. He said, I said to Asma'i, Abu Sa'id, what is the meaning of the statement of the Messenger of God, peace be upon him? The neighbor has a greater right to his sabak. He said, I do not comment on the hadith of the Messenger of God. However, the ancient Arabs assert that sabak is the same as laziq, that is, adjacent property. Scholars have composed excellent books on this subject. We heard the expert Abu Abdullah al-Hakim say, the first in the history of Islam to compose a work on rare words was an-Nadhr bin Shumayl. Some disagreed with him and said, the first to compose a book on this subject was Abu Ubaidah Ma'mar ibn Muthanna. Both of the books are short. Later, Abu Ubaid al-Qasim bin Salam composed his famous book. He brought the material together and thoroughly examined it in an excellent fashion, and so attained an exalted reputation among scholars and became a model in this matter. Qutaybi then tracked down the material Abu Ubaid missed and composed his famous book on the subject. Then Abu Sulaym al-Khattabi tracked down what they both missed and wrote his famous book on this matter. These 3 books are the principal works composed on the subject. After them, other compilations appeared which contained many additions and useful remarks on the subject. However, these are not to be accepted unquestioningly unless their authors were exalted authorities. In explicating the rare words in Hadith, the greatest reliance should be placed upon what is explicated in one of the relations of the Hadith. For instance, it was related in the Hadith of Ibn Sayyid that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said to him, "I have a hidden secret for you." "What is it?" said Ibn Sayyid. He replied, "Dukhkh," or the dukhkh. The meaning of the word is obscure and problematic, and many have explicated it incorrectly. In al-Hakim's Ma'rifat Ulūm al-Hadīth, we read that it is dukhkh, which is in the sense of zakh, which is sexual intercourse. This is an egregious mix-up which exasperates both the scholar and the ordinary believer. Rather, the sense of the Hadith is that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said to him, "I have concealed a hidden thing for you." "What is it?" He replied, "The dukhkh," meaning smoke, dukhan. Dukh means smoke in one Arabic dialect, since one of the versions of the Hadith contains something specifying that. The Messenger of God said, "I have hidden a secret for you," and he hid for him, "A day the sky will be filled with visible smoke." And Ibn Sayyad said, "It is the dukh." Then the Messenger of God said, "Scram, you will never exceed your capacity." This Hadith is well established and sound. Tirmidhi and others included it in their Hadith collections in accordance with the custom of the soothsayers of wrestling, only part of a thing from the devils. Ibn Sayyad took from the verse of the Quran this word alone without understanding the whole statement. For that reason, the Prophet said to him, "Scram, you will never exceed your capacity," meaning you have no more capacity to understand than the soothsayers, and God knows best. Stay tuned for many more parts.